On this episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone, we're going to talk about the Wednesday Night War. Now, it's very unusual how this turned out because of the recent pandemic crisis that's been going on not only here in the US but also around the world, and also has been affecting the wrestling world. But we're going to go with it anyway and explain what was good, what wasn't on Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up. 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 Get up, get up.
Alright, so let's talk about the Wednesday Night War. So, surprise, surprise, for the 12th week in a row, AEW won this week, but it was a big victory with the views of 932,000 views with the rate of 0.36. NXT only has 542,000 views with the rate of 0.16. Now, I know it's very unusual, but the reason behind that, we weren't sure exactly what's going to happen with NXT. Now, as you all recall, a week ago, the NXT brand was at the Performance Center due to the fact of Full Sail's been suspended because of the recent outbreak that's been going on. And of course, we weren't sure because apparently Vince McMahon and WWE were worried that that the Orlando officials might force them to cancel or have restrictions. So I don't know. But there was certain things I did like. I'll explain to you that later. But with AEW, they did exactly what they were going to do. They had no fans whatsoever. And it was great. I enjoyed it. There was like certain things they had to add to it. So, as like any other show, it was great. Very good surprises they put out. I think none of us would have expected that. But let's get started with AEW. So with AEW, it started out with Cody giving a very good, interesting promo. Now, I've always been intrigued with his promos about how he talks. He's said like a lot of good things about we shouldn't be afraid of what's been happening right now, that we should all get together and all this and that. And I have to agree. I mean, I know that there's a lot of people that are afraid, and it was a really good promo. I enjoyed it. Now, one thing's about this, since there's no audience, they kind of divided certain wrestlers who were wrestling and who weren't to take side. Like one side we got the heels, one side we got the baby faces. So it was kind of interesting. That kind of served the audience. So I liked it. It was great. Now, of course, MJF was right there, and he wasn't wrestling or anything. He was actually taking bets alongside Sean Spears while he was being interviewed by Tony Schiavone. It was so funny. Now, the first match it starts out was the Best Friends, along with Freshly Squeezed Orange Cassidy against the Lucha Bros. Now, Orange Cassidy most of the time was at the commentary, just chilling out, like you don't know if he's asleep or whatever. I thought it was so awesome, I mean, basically he was like the star of the show or something. But there was a moment that he jumped off and landed on the Lucha Brothers with his hands in his pocket. But man, the Lucha Brothers did some great work as always. I don't think they're currently in the ranks. I'm not 100% sure, but I just got to look into it again. But a lot of super kicks, a lot of all of this and that. But they won the match. Now, post-match, Tony Schiavone interviewed the Best Friends, asking them that things didn't go their way, but they did stated that they're willing to meet them in the parking lot. So, we may never know. We may see a parking lot brawl somewhere down the line. I'm kind of interesting to see where they're gonna go with this. That's okay. Now the next match we have a four-way women's match between Rio, Penelope Ford, Hikaru Shida, and Chris Allen. Now keep in mind, Penelope actually gave an upset towards Rio on the AEW Dark. So basically, anything good possible. But Rio hasn't forgotten the one person that was costing her the match. It wasn't Penelope. It was super bad Kip Sabian. And he spent much of the entire match trying to ensure the Penelope wins, but there were times he got his ass whooped by Hikaru Shida, Chris Statlander, and Rio. So, it was great. And to be honest with you, I didn't know who was going to win, but I'm pretty sure I am happy with the result with Hikaru Shida winning. I feel like she should be right now in the running for the AEW Women's Championship because I think many of us as fans of AEW are starting to say it should have been Hikaru Shida because she seems like the much stronger wrestler in the Japanese women's, wrestling, the Yoshi style. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about that, but that's basically me talking. But if you agree with me, good. But after the match, there was an interview with Colt Cabana saying he loved the match, but he said that Pellet is talented. She needs to get rid of Kip Sabian. Kip did not appreciate what he was saying, so he tried to get in his face, but he got whacked by Boom Boom Cabana. And I see another rivalry between the two, down the line. So, we may never know on that, but I'm excited to see that. Now, earlier of the day, as you all know, Jon Moxley is not medically cleared to wrestle, but he was told he cannot be in the arena for anything whatsoever because of what happened to him. So, he's upset, but he did state that he's going to lurk around on Bloods and Guts. He said that he still has not finished with the Inner Circle. Now, the Inner Circle can say whatever they want, but if he does show up, that's going to be a problem. Let's see. Oh yeah. And then we had a tag team match between the Butcher and the Blade against Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy of the Jurassic Express. No Marco Stunt. Well, I forgot to mention this. Tony Khan stated that any of the AEW roster, if they don't feel comfortable being there for this Dynamite, then they won't hold it up to them, but they will continue to pay them, which is good. Good. I like that. So anyway, back to the match. Most of the time, they've been trying to separate Jungle Boy from Luchasaurus, but at the same time, MJF, who's on the ringside, being a fan watching, was calling the shots to the Butcher and the Blade. So basically, he was like, give them instructions and somewhat. But he did give the Butcher and the Blade a bonus for what happened. Give me a minute. Sorry, folks. That was my cat. She wanted to go outside. So anyway, basically he was still being that guy giving the orders, regardless. But the moment he really got Jungle Boy was able to tag Luchasaurus, that's when things changed. Luchasaurus was in full gear, all ready to give an ass whooping that he normally does. But there was a moment. This is how the match ended. A moment. The Butcher and the Blade had Jungle Boy right where they wanted, but instead, MJF was making the call. They had the call right there. They had them. But MJF gave them a better instruction and resulted Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, they won the match. Now, I don't know how the Butcher and the Blade feels about this with MJF changing what they were going to do. Who knows? We just got to wait and see what happens on the next Dynamite. Okay, now we go to the moment we all been waiting for. For months, we've been hearing the Dark Order. They have been talk. Evil Uno has been in contact with a man named the Exalted One. We have been hearing that name countless times. Now, we all thought Christopher Daniels was in it, but he wasn't. Then Daniels was going out saying there is no Exalted One. That's just a bunch of lies. You're trying to make a fool out of us. But Evil Uno was saying there is an Exalted One. Now, what happens next? The Exalted One arrived. Now, we didn't know who it was, but it turned out to be Brody Lee. Now, let me pause here for a minute. There were a lot of fans that were talking over social media, all over the wrestling news outlets, saying it could be possible it was Matt Hardy. Now, don't get me wrong, he does feel like the guy who fit the role. And I'm like, But it didn't. Turn out it was Brody Lee. And I will talk to you guys at the end of the episode to give you guys my thoughts on something. I feel you guys need to see this. So I'll say it was pretty good, and he was about to do something similar on Daniel's uh, uh, kissing Sister Aspinall. You know, the one where Bray Wyatt has his opponent, and then he does that move. Well, he didn't do that. He just kind of he did that, let them go, and then kind of clotheslined them hard. So it was pretty cool. But I have to say, Brody Lee does fit perfectly, you know, with being there in the first place. I like it. So I can't wait to see down the line what he's gonna do as the leader of the Dark Order, where they're gonna go with on this one. Then we see an interview with Jake Roberts with Lance Archer. So basically, he still wants Cody's attention, but right now, Cody's attention at this point is the Bloods and Guts. So basically, they're waiting for his answer, and they throw in a little promo about Lance Archer, about him being in some field beating some guys in a somewhat wrestling ring, and right there watching is Jake Roberts, and that's how it turned out to be for that particular night. Then we see what's going to happen on the next Dynamite. Now keep in mind, due to the pandemic, they never mentioned anything. It's going to be next week. Nothing like that. They'd say next time. So we may never know if there's a Dynamite next Wednesday. So we don't know yet. So we just got to wait and see what's going to happen. So they did state that there were matches that have been announced for the next Dynamite. One, a lumberjack match between Luchasaurus and Wardlow. Now this was a match that I kind of was hoping, because if you recall, Jungle Boy was in the face of MJF and Luchasaurus was in the face of Wardlow. Then we have a parking lot brawl between the Best Friends versus the Lucha Brothers. That's going to be interesting. Then we got the Bloods and Guts, the Elite versus the Inner Circle. Now, there's been a few things that have been happening with this match that's coming up, but I'll explain a little bit. Well, let's just do that right now since I'm catching up with the list. Now, as you all recall, Nick Jackson is out because of the vicious attack from so it became on 4-1. So this particular match they had for the main event, whoever wins between the Inner Circle and the Elite will get the advantage. So basically, it's the numbers game type. So the Inner Circle had Jake Hager, Santana, and Ortiz, along with Sammy, versus the Elite, Cody, along with Arn Anderson, Matt Jackson, Hamac Page, along with Kenny Omega. So basically, it was a much brutal match. Like, there was still no communication between both Matt Jackson and Hamac, because it's still unclear what is his deal. But they're asking him, put the differences aside, but I don't know. I have that distinct feeling there will be a match down the line between Matt and Hamac. We'll just get there when that happens. And basically, oh yeah, throughout the entire time, Jericho was right there doing commentary, and Sammy and MJF were singing Judas. So, since we had no audience. But frankly, the Inner Circle won. Basically, that's how it is. Now, Jericho was all happy, calling them, "You guys are a bunch of bitches. That's where you're gonna lose. We will always be dominant." And guess what? You guys got 4. And they flipped. They were doing the flip, pulling out their fingers, saying there's 5 of them. And the more they were trying to brag, something happened. This is what shocked the world. Here comes a drone coming out, and that drone looked familiar. And I'm assuming you people thought the same way. And you're probably thinking, no, it can't be Vanguard 1. But this is the tease that happened. Matt picks up the mic saying, Jericho. What is that right here? You see, you're right about one thing, Jericho. We never got along great recently. But you made one mistake on your little speech. It's not going to be 4 in the Elite. I happened to call a friend who owed me a favor. And that's when the piano hits, camera pans to the opposite side, and right there, it's Broken Matt Hardy. He shocked us with this. Now, people were thinking he was the Exalted One, but no, he is All Elite. Now, is he a member now? I don't think so, as far as I know. I feel like he's the guy who's stepping into line with the Elite, maybe because of the favor they did for him from that YouTube video, Free the Delete. That's the way I see it. But for Jericho and the Inner Circle, they were all in shock. They were all scared, like now they're in trouble. With Jericho bragging, dissing everybody. Matt Hardy being there kind of shut him up for a bit. But he acted like he's seen a ghost. I love that ending, how they're like, you stupid sons of bitches. Like, that's what I like. I like the reaction. So basically, he's going to be the 5th guy in Bloods and Guts with the Elite. I'm excited for that. So, I can't wait to see what's going to happen on the next Dynamite. Like I said, there's still no indication if there will be a next week for this coming Wednesday. But we just got to wait and see. Hopefully, this pandemic can blow over sooner. So, we just got to wait and see. So, I'll be right back. We'll talk more with NXT. Alright, so we got with NXT. This was unusual. I thought they were going to have a live show, but no fans, just like what they've been doing with Raw and SmackDown. But it didn't happen that way. So, so basically what happened is they were showing clips and videos of certain matches that were going to take place. Like, I think my favorite one is the story between Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. Now, keep in mind, I didn't know much about them, like, from years ago when they started being in WWE. And I kind of fell in love with their story about there were 2 best friends. They were in the same group together. All of that. And I like how they were still telling the story between the friendship of Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa when they were a tag team, and then they separated because of Tommaso betraying all of this and that. So the whole story about it is pretty good. I like it, but I feel they could have done something like put a story here, maybe a match there, like with no fans or whatever, but it didn't went that way. And they continued on with the whole thing with Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair, Finn Balor versus Walter, that type of thing. But I think that we're more worried about the restrictions that have been going on down in Orlando. Now, we don't know for sure with AEW, but I know they've been getting a lot of restrictions, WWE, but hopefully this could be turned over. Now, there's still more indications about WWE. I'll explain that in a little bit, but I have to keep this short because nothing happened. So that's what led to AEW. They won it not because they thrown a good show with no fans. It's because WWE did not show any live show. I don't know how fans would feel about that. The ones that decided, to turn off the TV and not watch it. But we'll see. But I will be back. I'll be right back to give you guys my final thoughts on this one because I feel we need to talk about it. Okay, so let me give you guys my final thoughts about with AEW, about Brody Lee and Matt Hardy being there. Right now, you some of the hardcore fans, even if you guys are those who watching are hardcore WWE fans, are asking yourselves, how can WWE let this happen? Well, the easiest question is that Brody Lee, formerly known as Luke Harper, he wasn't being pushed enough. He wasn't being utilized, and that was the problem right there. You see, there were certain situations I've seen. If you guys seen Total Bellas, no, Total Diva, there was a moment where what's her name, Eve Marie, was at the arena, but she's not scheduled to be on TV, and that kind of bothered her. Now imagine that with Luke Harper feeling the same way. And here's the thing: why keep a wrestler that you're not going to utilize? A lot of people question that. If you're planning not to lose your wrestler, but the problem is they're trying to prevent him from going to AEW, or they thought, oh, he'll never go, but he is. The problem is this, guys. It's up to the wrestler what they want to do. Now, whoever has the better offer, either money-wise or creative-wise, is the reason they left. And creative-wise, Matt Hardy is one of those guys that left because none of his creative ideas are being used. So that's why he felt he can have creative freedom in AEW. Now, you can say all you want that AEW will never succeed. If that is true, then why are they succeeding on the Wednesday Night War? Right now, they won this week, despite the fact that this week they have no audience. The NXT did not have any matches throughout the entire time. Only they can tell you that. But AEW wants to continue doing what they're doing. Now, we don't know for sure if there's going to be a Dynamite next week, but we'll just got to wait and see. So I think that's it for now with the Wednesday Night War. I hope everybody loves what I talked about. I hope you guys love my thoughts. But if you want to leave a comment and you guys have different theories or different ideas, leave a comment down below. So, stay safe, wash your hands, and I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. Have a nice day. Bang!